Hello and welcome to Raising the Barr, the go-to podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs looking to elevate their marketing game. Today, we've got a great guest for you. He is a maestro of the nightlife events industry. He's got a luxury concierge business in both Dubai and Ibiza, and he's a co-owner in restaurants in Mayfair, London and Spinningfields, Manchester. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jay Smedley.
Thank you, Jamie. What a welcome that was.
Quite the welcome. Welcome to the show, Jay. Obviously, we've known each other for, 15 years now?
Yeah, it's a long time now.
We've worked together for 7 years, and I think what's great is so many people listening to this podcast today will have been to one of your events over the last 10 years. But I don't think anyone's got quite the idea of what goes into the production, the marketing, etc. these events. So I'm excited to peel back that curtain and give people a little bit of insight into the work that goes on, the marketing strategies behind it, and the brand identities. But before we do that, let's start on the story. Fill us in on that journey from where you started out to obviously where you are now.
Going back many, many years ago now, I came out of school and went straight into football. So I had a short football career playing for Leicester City when they went into the Premier League. So those sort of years were like some of the best times of my life. You know, that was kind of the dream. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I still wanted to be a part of that life. I still wanted to, network with the footballers and my friends that were playing at a high level. And it sort of steered me into the nightlife scene.
So picking up from there, obviously events have spiraled massively into what they are now, which we'll pick up on. What were you said you started out, you played football, you always played at a very high level. Some people say you're still one of the best centre-backs Leicester ever saw. But looking at that early career in football, what do you think the key values that instilled in you? What did you take away from that that's really helped with the journey so far?
Moving out of home when you were sort of 15, 16, and then moving into a house with other aspiring young footballers that from all over the world. You're put into this house with so many different characters from different backgrounds, and every day is you're dedicating your life to train and to be the best footballer or person that you can be. You end up training with legends of the game when you're 17 years old.
Takes that fear out of you.
Yeah. And that's you're looking up to these people, you see them on TV playing every week, and you want to be them. You look at them and you mirror what they do each day in, day out. The dedication, the drive, that was like the main thing really, to push yourself.
So you mentioned that dedication and drive there, but historically, we look at footballers, there's a lot more stories of people being released from clubs and going down the wrong path than people being released from clubs and going down the right path. Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is it when you got released early age, what was those initial thoughts going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you think, the world's ended. That's the only thing that you want it to be. You come out of school early, you don't get obviously like your A levels or university. So you miss them years. I think I finished when I was around 20, 21. So I had a good few years of playing at a good level. And then, you feel a little bit lost. My sort of support network, my family around me was really, really good. My close friends were always supportive.
So look at those early days when you first went into events. How vital were the connections within football at that point? Was that, do you think that was a point of difference? Because I remember looking back at the events in Nottingham, you were the first person that was attracting Championship and Premier League players on a regular basis when you first started out.
Yeah, I think it was a massive thing. My network was footballers. And the first event concept that we put together was this VIP table spending night in Nottingham. And we remember being in a meeting with the owners of the nightclub. And I was like, look, I could sell you 20 bottles of vodka for £150 per bottle. And he kind of just got up and walked out of the meeting. He was like, that's ridiculous. It doesn't happen in Nottingham. But I knew that was the potential. And I guess my contacts, my friends, but friends firstly, started coming to support the event, which then obviously the footballers attract the ladies. I guess that's how the event actually grown.
So that was the very first event, Aces in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And that was founded in?
That was 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
So 2010 was a transitional point where, for those that know the events industry up until that point, it was very much personal networking. It was very much, people still had flyers on the street. It was very much word of mouth marketing. At that point, did you start to see, when you launched, you were bringing different aspects to that marketing approach, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the social media sort of started to kick in around then. My sort of side of the business was always kind of like the creative side of things. So for some reason, I've got a good eye for things. I like things to look the way I want it to look, whether that be kind of the venues inside, or whether it be obviously like the marketing side of things, the branding. So we were very, very strong on the branding side of things, and we were very consistent with it. I think that was one of our strongest points.
So you're running these hundreds of events now. For people that don't understand the industry as well as others, how does that work? So a venue brings you in. What's kind of arrangement in that place?
It all starts with an idea. One of my crazy ideas that will be in my head, or a vision where I want to see the brand or event. We're now sort of 14, 15 years into the game, so I have a lot of good contacts at venues or now venues sort of approach us to do things. But yeah, I guess from the start it would be more of me putting a vision and a concept together. We would then approach the owners or the managers of a venue. We'd go through every single detail from how it would sort of start from the event on the day to the marketing and the promotional material. Normally we would have like at least an 8-week lead up to an event for it to go on sale to the day of the event. And then obviously before that, there's the prep of getting all your business deal with the venues, your pricing for the customers, whether it be sort of tickets, obviously table spends. We would then create a menu with the venues, and then obviously we go on sale.
What do you think the main reasons venues turn to people like yourself to bring in these high profile events is?
Our brands are strong. A lot of people in the scene would know the brands. They know it's going to be a good event. We would bring in a crowd that would know how to have a good night, know how to spend their money.
And is that a point the venue identify early? You sit down with a venue is a key component to that, looking at you can go in and say my clientele spend this.
Yeah, exactly. That's where our events stand. We're a high spend, high end event. I think in general, we would be having a higher revenue at the venue rather than another event that might come in.
And recently there's been this big transition. Well, it's been on for a while now, but people are going more and more for DJ-led events, live music-led events. Have you seen a big shift in that in the industry?
Yeah, definitely. I think years ago we did a festival on a cruise ship.
I was going to get to that. When we're talking about wild and wacky ideas.
Yeah,
that's got to be one of the wildest, wacky ideas there. For anyone who doesn't know, Jay and some of his partners decided to charter an entire cruise ship, and I believe it's called Anchored, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
How many people were on that cruise ship?
There was 2,800.
2,800 people on a cruise ship. DJs. How long was it?
Well, the first one was 7 days.
7 days.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the audience is saying exactly the same as me. What could possibly go wrong? So while we're on the topic, let's get into Anchored. I mean, the idea to begin with sounds somewhat crazy. I can imagine the execution behind it was equally.
It's a part of life that Anchored took over our life for a good 3 or 4 years. It was just 24/7 work. We put the package together with Royal Caribbean, which is like one of the biggest.
And what happens in that initial meeting when you go to Royal Caribbean? They're usually used to Steve and Dorothy rocking up for their quiet holiday, and you say to them, "I've got this brainwave. We're going to stick an entire festival on top of the cruise ship, run it through all the cabins.
Yeah.
There's going to be people from all over the world. We're going to have big DJs." What do they turn around to you and say, you're crazy? Or do they say, Jay, we want a piece of this?
I mean, I think the first incident, we were some guys that were coming over to, we actually went to Miami for a few of the first meetings, and they couldn't really get their head around it. Yeah. But, we've shown them footage from previous events, and, we went through the whole plan of what we put together and how it would run literally from sort of every hour of every day.
And do you think that was a real pivotal moment where you stepped up to a whole different level? Because you've gone from the events, which, like you said before, there was a personal networking aspect to it. When you're looking to fill a cruise ship, you're all of a sudden into large-scale marketing campaigns, broad outreach, a much bigger operation, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We learned so much about ourselves and we grew, and it made us bigger and better as well. The actual sort of exposure it got for us and for the Anchored itself, it went worldwide. We were in medias in Germany, Austria, America.
Positive or negative?
It was positive.
It was positive.
It was positive.
Yeah.
We did have a little bit of a negative after, I think, the second cruise ship, which I think was sex, drugs, and rock and roll at sea, which
I can think of worse things to have in the press about it. But it sounds like quite an accurate description to me.
Yeah, I guess so.
And was there any moment of that experience? Because you've taken on, I know there are companies in the US that have done it before.
Yeah.
There are other people, but I think for the UK, you were the first ones that had gone after that market.
Yeah.
Was there any point where you looked in the mirror and thought, this could be a fire festival and I had it?
Quite a few times. Probably every morning.
Yeah.
But no, it was I mean, we worked our asses off for it, and in the end it was something that was amazing. And if you ask sort of I would say probably 95% of the people that went on to Anchored, even to this day now, people will be like, this was the best experience we've ever had.
And how many cruises did you do in total with Anchored?
We did 2. So we did the first one was a week. So we went from Rome to Santorini, Mykonos, south of France, and then back to Rome. And then the second one was 5 days, which was a year later.
Yeah. And with the first one to the second one, did you learn a lot from the first one? Was the second one marketed differently? Any sort of new aspects?
Yeah, definitely.
You really
obviously it also put us into the artist window. I was back and forth to Ibiza and Marbella constantly, like in the build. Well, 2 years before it actually started, to try and lock this lineup down that we wanted. We went really, really sort of above and beyond to where we would be. So we wanted to bring all the biggest events from Ibiza with their DJs and come and host on the cruise ship. And it was stressful working with dealing with agents and managers and tour managers, but you learn so much from that. It made the year after a lot easier because I knew how to deal with these kind of people, or the artists or their managers, or these, bringing Ushuaia to a cruise ship. You're dealing with people that have been in the industry years and years before us with a lot more experience, but growing those contacts as well was it was amazing.
And when it comes to marketing the events, or even the Anchor cruise, the content you've created in past years, past events, etc., is so important. How do you go about capturing the moments on the night? Because it's something quite difficult to do, isn't it? Take the energy in that room, and then translating stuff that can be released. Are you involved in the creative direction with that? Do you have a team? How do you really go about capturing that?
Depending on the location, we'll have a digital team that will come in from photographer, videographer. For example, last weekend in Marbella, we had, I think it was 5 videographers covering one event, just so that they could get every single sort of area or every sort of something that happened in the event, they could capture it. But before the event, we would sort of go through with the team, like where we want to go with it, what kind of music we would want with the video, what sort of moments are best to capture. But you've obviously got to keep changing it as well. You don't want to keep bringing out the same content after each event. So.
No, 100%. I mean, that's such a challenge in a competitive market to really stand out. Once that video's done after the events, how do you get that in front of as many people as possible?
Yeah, so we would obviously make sure that the video is everybody's happy with and perfect from our side. And then, we would literally just drop it on all socials. And then once it's sort of grown organically, we would then put some spend behind it so it reaches a bigger audience.
So you adopt paid spend across all the events?
Yeah. Obviously, it's different spends for different events, depending on the size. But, years ago on our sort of VIP events, we never used to do it because they were pretty much sold out. So we didn't really need to do it. But the bigger events we do now, we start to push a bit more spend behind it.
I think with Facebook, Instagram, etc., like nowadays with the algorithms, unless you're putting some paid behind that, making an impact is becoming more and more difficult.
Yeah. And again, going back to Anchored, we worked with Facebook at the time. And I was going into the Facebook office and actually I used to, when we first started, I did it all myself, did the social media, did the create, not put the creative artwork together, but it was all, I was spoon feeding the designer, did the paid ads, and then going into Facebook once a week, sort of learning the way that they do it. It sort of blew my mind at the time.
But, I mean, there's no better place to go and learn than in the centre of Facebook, isn't there?
But then obviously, stepping away from that, it moves so quickly, you just sort of lose track of it, and you bring a team in that obviously are on top of it constantly. So, but the spend on ads and events. Everybody does it now, so you have to sort of be ahead of the game and make sure that people are following you rather than you're following someone else.
Yeah. And what's the plan for this summer's events? What's the big one to look forward to?
Well, we've just had a really big one 2 weeks ago in Marbella. But yeah, I think there's over 70 events from the end of April to September across Marbella and Ibiza. So it's a hectic summer. It's a lot of planning, a lot of it's going to be
a lot of planning, a lot of flights, and the occasional beer thrown in.
Always an occasional beer thrown in.
So we covered a lot on the events there, and I know, like you said, we've got the summer, and then we've got some great ones coming up in Dubai, which for our listeners here, they'll be finding out more about later on. You give us a bit of a recap on them. Looking at the concierge side of things, so you've got Dubai Key and Ibiza Key, both high-end concierge companies covering everything from yacht rentals, hotels, villas. You literally cover everything, don't you?
Yeah.
Where did the idea for this luxury concierge first come from, and how did that evolve from the events?
It started from the events. I was traveling the world, putting these events on in different locations. Dubai, I was here a lot. Ibiza, Marbella. We did a random one in Bahrain. When I'm in these locations, people were sort of starting to message me, when's your events on, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of just sort of snowballed from that. Someone would be like, oh, I'm going to, I saw that your events are in Dubai or Ibiza. Are you there? If not, where's good to go? What can I do? And it just kept snowballing and snowballing. And I just thought, right, I need to put something away from the events together that is not attached and that can just sort of run on the side for many, many, many years to come. My partner in Dubai was actually just started the concierge in Dubai, and I created the one in Ibiza. And then we kind of put them together, and I guess our networks of footballers coming over gave us a bit of a head start to partnering with venues in Dubai. They would come and they would spend a lot of money at the venues. Obviously, they'd want them there, and then obviously, in that holiday, they'd be like, right, what else can we do? We were putting a schedule together for these guys for 4 or 5 days, which included obviously, restaurants, beach clubs, nightclubs, yachts, supercars, and that's where it spiraled. And then it's now sort of not just that sort of select clientele. We are sort of, we cater for everybody. Obviously, we have the VVIPs that come over that we look after, but we also look after people just coming on holiday, couples, families, people coming to party, people coming to relax. So
well, everyone knows Dubai Key's always got a little special place in my heart. I think about going back 10 years nearly.
10 years
it was
now.
It was one of our sort of our first clients, Dubai Key. It's been
That's right, yeah.
not far off a decade we've been working together on that one. And over that time, you've grown everything to do with Dubai Key significantly. The branding's gone up a level, the ads have gone up a level, the website's now, a big website you've got going on there. It's been different to the events, and so much of that is online with Dubai Key now. You say it's accessible to all. Where do you find that website really positions you in the market and makes it easy for people to use your services?
I think we spoke a lot about how we can make the customer journey a lot easier. Obviously, we want to make our lives easier as well with streamlining the business and the inquiries, but making the customer journey quicker, faster, giving them more confidence. I think the branding and the website, if people are landing on that page, they know that it's a super professional company. They know that we've been there for years. We know what we're doing. We know that if they come to us, they're going to have the best holiday of their life in Dubai, because we're going to make that happen. The website itself, it's got everything. Like you said, it's a big website now, from being able to book instantly yachts, Rolls-Royce transfers, desert experiences. It gives the customer a bit more of a confidence, I believe.
And it's interesting because you transitioned to that quite early, because people, you look at the concierge industry in general, it's a lot of it still being done in that traditional way of, inner circle, text message, etc. But luxury things have become more and more accessible to more and more people.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the small select that travel to Dubai, it's the masses. Everyone's coming in. The Ibiza in the summer, there's more people going to Ibiza than not going. And the days, everyone wants to be doing the high-end things now. So to be able to make that easy to book an online for them is great. Do you find some people actually are much happier engaging with, just getting their booking done online, book it in rather than speaking to someone personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a mix. Like, we still do have that personal touch, but then I guess a client or customer would be like, oh, I've done this, but then they might want to ask a couple of questions like about whatever they've booked. So our team will always be readily available for that. But yeah, like you say, just getting that instant booking process done, it makes them tick that holiday list off. Do you know what I mean? And that's that, giving them the confidence, because they're spending a lot of money on luxury yachts or cars or tables.
Definitely. Recently, there's been a big push on the SEO, the PPC, the sort of paid advertising behind Dubai Key. With that, do you have a specific market you tailor to and target specifically? Is that UK customers, or do you go worldwide with that?
We change it around. Obviously when we first started, our target audience was people from the UK coming to Dubai. We do get people. We've got a good sort of clientele in the US, France, Sweden. So yeah, depending on the time of year, we will change the ads and target. And even people now that live in Dubai as well.
And when you started out here, there was obviously yourself and a few other big players in the concierge industry. I think in recent years we've seen quite a few smaller people emerge, individuals offering, etc. Have you found an impact with that, or do you think people still want to go to the larger companies doing it?
Yeah, it's been it's a bit of a negative impact in some ways. A lot of cowboys out there. But like you say, people need that confidence. If they come in and they're spending a lot of money, they want the top service. They want to know that they're dealing with the best people in that area. So, getting a WhatsApp from some random number and not really any confirmation, or going through the website, or our payment links and going through our team, they get everything. It's professional. It's confidential. I think that's a massive thing for people coming over.
So looking at the Dubai side of things, obviously that's luxury, opulence. When we transfer over to Ibiza for the summer, that takes us into a whole different world. We're thinking wild parties, just, no holds barred. There's got to be a few stories from the Ibiza side of things for us, hasn't there?
To be honest, the VIP side of Ibiza is booming. Yeah. Like, the villas over there are insane. I think it's got the most villas per square foot on any island in the world. And what they are, like, we've done some crazy parties for clients in villas, like setting up some crazy production. And yeah, they've gone on for days.
And what does like a top end booking in Ibiza, one of them villas for a week? What's that looking at?
I mean, we work with a lot of owners on the island directly. And like I said, we cater for most groups and price ranges. But there's an island that we have in Ibiza. It's literally, it's his own island. We've done a private 30th birthday on there a few years ago for a top client. I think it's around 200,000 euros for the week.
And that's before you get started on the spend.
Yeah, that's just for the rental of the villa. So obviously, there's a lot of things included in that. But yeah, there's that many villas on the island. It does range from, you could probably get one for 5,000 euros up to 300, 400,000 euros. Yeah. So it depends on your budget, really.
Okay, perfect. And what are the plans going forward with the concierge side of things?
Yeah, so we recently started in Marbella as well, as just sort of an organic sort of growth. And it's just, it's keep growing it. It's keep being above any other concierge company in those destinations. And then maybe we're going to add another destination as well next year. Still to be continued.
Yeah, no little sneak peek for us on the destination. What are the top options?
Top options would be Mykonos, Tulum, Las Vegas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. There's some good options there.
Not bad.
Fantastic. And then over the past year, there's been another big transition that you've gone into restaurants and bars. These have been your first openings. Mm-hmm. So it's two you're involved with now, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've got the one.
Yeah, so we've got the bar in Spinning Fields in Manchester called Dear Sailor, which opened, I think it was October last year. We wanted to kind of give Spinning Fields that bar that an older crowd can go to and have a nice drink and have good music, good atmosphere. If you want to stay late, you stay late and have a dance. It's a great location. Again, branding and the story behind it's very, very, very good. It's very different. It's a bit of a speak easy sort of vibe to it as well. It's a great spot.
And then down in London,
then down in London, we have Mistress of Mayfair, which is a modern French restaurant with a late lounge. So food's amazing, if I do say so myself. In Dubai, you have many vibe dining restaurants. So it's kind of bringing that to London, which we felt that there was a little gap in the market to it.
We're heading for a vibe dining after this, aren't we, Jay?
We are indeed, yeah.
So looking at the restaurants, obviously it's kind of a culmination of everything you've done to date to get these in these top prestigious locations. You said before, you love the branding side of things. I know even from our work together, you like to get involved, be creative. Your journey, where does that start with the restaurants? Do you start with the brand name, the identity, or do you start with the concept and work backwards? How did you kind of find that experience?
I think because there was 3 or 4 of us with an idea, again, sort of with myself, I was probably one of the most well-traveled and more experienced of going to these venues. So we all had the same idea and way we wanted to go, but actually getting the branding and the name was a lot harder than putting an event brand together. This is a story that needs to last for years. This name and the story behind it needs to last, forever for us. You've got to think about your target audience, who you want to come down to dine, then also who you want to come down to dine and party, or who you want to come down and just party. So yeah, there's a lot of factors and things to think about with it.
It's a huge thing with a logo. We get people, you get people making an inquiry and they'll go, that much for a logo?
Yeah.
I don't think people understand.
Yeah.
We have been working with the team on some concepts the last couple of days. Days and days of work just to get those initial ideas in.
Yeah.
And then weeks and weeks to transfer that.
That's it.
So you set out the concept you're going to deliver to your audience and then work backwards to find a brand identity that works within that.
Correct, yeah.
You work with your team to build that brand identity out. And then how does that feature into the restaurant fit out?
Exactly. Like I say, you have the concept, and then the name kind of will come. I think we did actually change it maybe 3 or 4 times, but that was when we started to put the visuals together of the restaurant, of from the fabrics to the booths, to the way they look, to the way they feel, the art that goes in there. There's so much to think about, and how the customer is going to receive it as well. So you've got to put yourself in the customer's seat, not just the way that we think is going to be the best, because that's not always going to be how it works for everybody else. So yeah, the name changed a few times, and then it just kind of just clicks, and then you're all happy, you're all moving in the same direction, and yeah, in the end, it's come together, and it's a beautiful space.
No, both restaurants look fantastic. Yeah. Do you find it a challenge to keep that consistency across everything with them, in terms of making sure your marketing looks the same, the branding, the decor? How do you work to keep that all looking like one product rather than getting detached?
From when I first started events, I've always kind of tried to be ahead of everybody else. Everybody takes inspiration from somewhere, so I'd always be using my knowledge of other venues around the world and taking little bits of inspiration from them, and then putting my own sort of spin on it. So, and then, yeah, with the branding and stuff, we work with the team, and I would give them sort of ideas and direction, and then they put their sort of ideas together and put it out to the world.
Okay, brilliant. And the difference from doing the events to the restaurants, have you seen many changes in marketing strategy with that? Has there been things you've had to adopt that you hadn't done previously, or has it just been an evolution of before? Yeah,
definitely. It's always moving and changing. Obviously, I think the core of it is still similar. Being consistent, having very clean branding. Now there's the podcasts, there's TikTok. A few years ago, these things wasn't happening. But you have to move with the times and be creative and put your own stamp on it. Give your own identity. And
you mentioned the TikTok there. Is that something? Because I think with TikTok, it's been an awkward one. There's the people under 30 that seem to be embracing it, loving it. People over 30 seem to have struggled with it a little bit. Is that something you embraced across the businesses?
Again, it wasn't something that I was warm to myself, but you read into things that TikTok's being used more than Google, and especially with like the concierge side of things. If people are Googling with what's the best restaurant in Dubai, or what's the most expensive yacht to take in Ibiza, and people are using TikTok for that, you have to start putting your mind in that space and taking advantage of it as well.
And obviously the period now, you've been in the game for so long. How do you manage to, because obviously as a young lad, when we were first going, not that we're giving our ages away, but when we first started going out, we were very much part of it. We were involved, we understood our peers kind of thing. As you get on a few years, on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, we're not planning on going on big nights out anymore? Or how do you keep relevant with the audience? How do you make sure you still understand your audience? Yeah,
I guess when you first start, I was young and you enjoy it and your friends are coming to the events and I was a bit of a face for each brand. So I would get involved. I would enjoy the events as much as anybody else. As you get older, there's more and more pressure. There's more and more events that I do now. There's more businesses that I run. So your view on things are completely different. There's a lot more to organise now because the events are a lot bigger. I still love to oversee things and still love to manage things. It's not always possible because we have so much going on in different locations, but it's always good to just pop in and then leave. The hard work is done all the way up to the event day.
I think that's the thing people don't quite understand, isn't it? The lead up, what goes into it. What would you say to people that just say, "Oh, these events, you just put them on, turn up"?
I wish it was like that. I'd love for them to take on the workload that we do. It's constant. It's 24/7. My phone doesn't stop. Emails. It's a lot. You're constantly thinking and working and taking everything on.
And when you get to the point of 70 events over 8-10 week period in the summer, I guess the days of being able to really have a drink and a party at them are somewhat limited. It's up the next morning on another flight.
You can't be hungover with your phone just blowing off the next morning or missing flights. Too much to do now. The pressure's on. There's so many people trying to take your place. Venues are under pressure to be better than last year, and you can't be off the boil. You got to be on it constantly.
And how do you deal with that pressure? Same in any industry, but for you, there is always that young guy coming through, effectively trying to take your spot. What keeps you hungry? What keeps you pushing forward?
I think it goes back to the football days, dedication and wanting to be the best person at what you do.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Well, and be successful.
I'm sure you've heard me lecture you at the end of a night out. It all comes down to dedication, routine and consistency.
Yeah.
If you get them nailed,
that's it.
It's all good. Yeah. And it's interesting because for someone who's in, you have the day events with the nightlife industry, you're always up early in the morning as well, aren't you?
I am. I am an early bird. Yeah. I like to, like you say, my routine. If I'm up early, I love to go to the gym, be active, play paddle like we have done before.
There's a lot of paddle gets mentioned on this podcast. You'd be surprised.
Really, Straight into work mode. There's no sort of easing off. It's just constantly keep trying to. There's always stuff coming in. There's never really a break. Obviously, you have to take yourself away from it. Manage that, otherwise, your head will just burst. Yeah. But
that's why you do these health retreats in Sri Lanka, isn't it? I've seen you there meditating.
Very so. Yeah, down to it's good to take yourself away from it as well. Sometimes it keeps you healthy.
So we've covered the last 15, 20 years of Jay Smedley there. What's the plan for the next 10? Where do you see the businesses going?
The events and concierge all sort of coming together. We're all bringing it into sort of one bracket under one umbrella. Like the Tao Group of America, I think they did a very, very similar thing with events and festivals and restaurants and clubs. Concierge, I think they're even into the hotels now. So something like that is where we're aiming to be. We're looking to expand and take over more and more venues and maybe a hotel one day, and then, sell it and go live on a desert island, turn the phone off.
Live happily ever after. So the idea is very much to package it all in one. I guess with that you get the economies of scale using the same marketing teams, video teams, branding teams across everything.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Perfect. And any events our listeners should be watching out for this summer?
If you're heading to Europe, then obviously Marbella and Ibiza will be the places. So I'll be there most weeks, so I hope to see some faces.
Brilliant. And just let our listeners know if they're looking for the concierge packages in Ibiza or Dubai coming into the winter season, where can they find that information?
Ibiza will be www.theibizakeyconcierge.com and Dubai is www.dubai-key.com.
Perfect. So Jay's giving you the addresses there. You can also find out everything about Ibiza Key and Dubai Key online. So check them out. There's honestly some fantastic experience on there. Once in a lifetime stuff. Great yacht rentals, villas. I think it's safe to say there's something for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah,
straight exactly. From like the girls' day out on the budget to Premier League footballers wanting to sail around on their 200-foot yacht. So it's been great catching up with you today, Jay. We've known each other for years. I've been to a lot of your events. I don't think everybody sees the work that goes behind it, but having worked with you, I know exactly how much effort you put into them. just how important it is to you to put on a good show and the service that you provide for everyone. So it's great for you to tell your story a little bit more. For everyone listening, stay tuned over the next few weeks. We've got some incredible guests on Raising the Bar, some real surprises for you as well, and some great stories from the marketing and branding of businesses, and some great opportunities for you to learn from the wisdom of other people's experiences. Look forward to connecting with you next week.